I know it hurts.
We're waiting for some more people to get but came back white. So since the 60s till now, 65, 70 years, whatever else, they've known that the original Israelites were black but came back white. But the thing is that, I'm gonna play a video so we can listen to a little bit of it. It's like a little quick little 4-minute clip. I want you to listen, okay? Because really what they're saying with the ish is true about every other group. Exactly. He only tells half truths, right? So here we go.
The other day, on X, where I said that Zionism is white supremacy with a yarmulke on, and that it's nothing but Yiddish for Western colonization. So, of course, I got a bunch of replies trying to correct me, saying that it isn't white supremacy, it's Jewish supremacy. See, this is them activating the built-in blame-shifting mechanism, which is the whole point. You're literally pointing to the yarmulke as the reason for all this, the reason for the occupation, the reason for the genocide. And I'm telling you that is exactly why they put the yarmulke on in the first place. But either you don't get it, or you don't want to get it, or you don't want anyone else to get it. You somehow want to exonerate the actual architects, the actual funders, promoters, arms providers, financiers, policymakers, and so on, who are in fact responsible for Zionism, responsible for the occupation, or responsible for the genocide. It's absolutely laughable to me. Like,
but they're doing exactly that with everybody else. They're trying to, cover up for the Catholic Church, who's been responsible for all this, all this genocide. The Christian Church, they're trying to, do exactly the same thing for them as well. Everyone's telling half truths every single day. You see what I'm saying?
Strangling me, but you put a sock puppet on your hand.
Right there.
In fact, responsible for the occupation, or responsible for the genocide. It's absolutely laughable to me. Like, you're strangling me, but you put a sock puppet on your hand. And you want me to actually believe that you're not the one strangling me, it's the sock puppet. This is an insult to my intelligence. Of course, I already know I get a bunch of comments of people saying that America is the puppet of the Zionists and not the other way around, because the Jewish lobby, which is not even in the top 20 highest spending lobbies in America, you think that controls the politicians. This is a bad joke. As if America has to be forced at gunpoint or under threat of Epstein blackmail to support occupation and genocide. The country literally founded on genocide. The country that wiped out the Native Americans, massacred Mexicans, massacred Filipinos, occupied Afghanistan for 20 years.
But you like how he just, conveniently skips over slavery? He conveniently skips over chattel slavery. Everyone's talking about everybody's enslaved. No one ever talks about chattel slavery. Big difference between 7 years, paying for your trip over here, than chattel slavery where you did it for 500 plus years. See what I'm saying? Not going to work. Doesn't work. I look at what you're excluding from your argument.
Still has occupation forces in at all. Occupied and colonized Hawaii and Puerto Rico. Supports Paul Kagame, who's implicated in the events that led to the genocide in Rwanda. And through him, they support M23, which massacres people in DRC. What are you talking about? America killed directly or indirectly 10 million civilians in my lifetime. And
10 million? Please, bro. Way more than 10 million in your lifetime.
Central America, South America, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and so on. Now you pretend like they have to be forced against their will, against their character, to support the occupation of Palestine and the genocide in Gaza. This is their character. That yarmulke is only on there for plausible deniability. You'll say, oh yeah, but the Jews impose apartheid and segregation and unequal rights. You mean like every Western colonial project ever? And look, Jewish. What Jewish? 65 to 70% of all so-called Jews in Israel are atheists. Half of all so-called Jews on earth don't believe in God. So if you go by religious definition, that means maybe 2.5 million Israelis are even Jewish by religion. 2.5 million out of 7.2 million. What Jewish? And ethnically, about 45% of Israelis, Israeli so-called Jews, are Ashkenazi, which means that they're from European heritage, not Semitic. That's around 3.8 million out of 7.2 million. So if you subtract the non-Semitic non-religious, from the so-called Jews of Israel, you're only going to be left with something like 1.2 to 1.4 million actual Jews in Israel.
So all these numbers, all this information, and you still are looking, all these people are still looking at these nations. Well, a lot of our own people looking at Ish as somehow some part of of prophecy, some time clock for prophecy. When the dude's telling you all these numbers right here, so if this guy can figure all these numbers, then why are we still talking about them starting World War III? Why are we still talking about Ish having something to do with prophecy? Why are we still talking about whatever they're doing over there has something to do with prophecy? It has nothing to do with prophecy, which is what I've been saying. 7-year tribulation period. People are going to attack Ish. Da, 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 da. If this guy can come with all these numbers himself to figure out that these aren't the people, then he's saying exactly what they've been saying since the 60s. So I showed you how they're in a loop. They haven't grown because they're still saying that these are the people, even though there's all these facts, all these numbers that shows that they're not. Okay, keep going. We're almost done. Like a minute left.
Actual Jews means Semites who believe Israel. You're only going to be left with something like 1.2 to 1.4 million actual Jews in Israel. Actual Jews means Semites who believe in and follow Judaism. 1.2 out of 7.2 million. That means literally 6 million white European atheists occupying Palestine and committing genocide. So do you see why this is nothing but white supremacy and Western colonization? Don't be a fool. They just want to label it Jewish so that when the time comes, they can disassociate themselves from it and put it all on the so-called Jews. That little black cat.
That's what they're trying to do now. All of them are trying to disassociate themselves from slavery. Everybody, all groups are trying to disassociate themselves from having a hand in our downfall. You see what I'm saying? Everyone, no one wants to talk about chattel slavery. Everyone's like, oh, we've all been enslaved. Have we all been in chattel slavery? Have we all been enslaved for 500 plus years? Have we all gone through the same things? See, that's exactly, including him. That's why I'm playing the videos, because it's including him also, because just listen to this part again.
Jewish. So that when the time comes, they can disassociate themselves from it and put it all on the so-called Jews. That little black cat, that yarmulke, is just marking who's going to take the fall. And believe me, when the time comes, you're going to see them swipe that cap off so fast it'll make your head spin. Or you'll probably see Ben Shapiro move to Utah and become a Mormon. Most so-called Jews today in the world don't believe in God. And like 80% of the global so-called Jewish population is not from Bani Israel. So as far as any Muslim is concerned, these people are not Jews. They're not Ahl al-Kitab. They're just European kuffar who believe in Western colonization, Western colonialism, and white supremacy, period.
So, bro. The dude's saying pretty much that Ish aren't the people, that they're Europeans, and that they're just committing genocide. But in the 60s, you knew that the Jews left black, became back white. So you see how the loop has not changed at all? In fact, the loop got smaller because, look, he didn't go to the next part. Well, we know that they're not the people because the real Israelites are the so-called Negroes that are over in America. So you also push the whole Native American thing. Native Americans, excuse me, are pretty much getting destroyed all over. The pretendians are getting destroyed all over social media. They are getting destroyed all over social media as far as who they are. So see how they're like, because the thing is that they're Europeans playing a part, but you Arabs today are Europeans playing a part. You Arabs, as you call yourselves Arabs or whatever, Muslims or whatever, you're still trying to pretty much associate Muslims with being Arabs. But the original people over there were Israelites and Moors. You guys trying to say now you guys were the Moors too? So it's exactly the same thing. The Moors left black, became back white, came back European. The Egyptians left black, but now came back, right? Mizraim left black, but now came back white. Exactly the same thing. It's a loop. You see what I'm saying? The original Mexicans left black, came back Spaniards. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that's the whole thing. It's like it's a big mix. The original Americans were left black, came back white now, came back English. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a total loop. They're all trying to point at Ish as doing this, but they've all done it. They've all taken the bag to play a part. The original Irish left black, came back white with red hair. Exactly. It was black, so-called black people all over the place. But now you got all these different people trying to play a part. Like I'm saying, like, look, bro, what you're talking about Ish couldn't be said about you. What you're saying about Ish can be said about you Arabs as well. See, you guys don't like us either. You're sitting here going against us as well. You're sitting here trying to keep us in the loop as well by still pushing the Native Americans. They were slaughtered. The people that they slaughtered were our people. The original people that were here was us on these lands on Turtle Island was us. And the fact that you're not mentioning that and even admitting that shows you that you are just part of the loop. You're a part of the loop. Asians ain't saying nothing. We were there too. We were over there in China. We were over there in Vietnam. We were over there in the Philippines. We were there, all those different places. Like there's a new game that came out, Assassin's Creed. And at the beginning of the game, there's a black guy in it. And then I guess a lot of people got upset because, it talks about how there was this black samurai who was pretty badass that they got upset that they put him in the game. So see, it's truth, but they don't want to see it. It's all over the place. You look at the Bonaparte murals and it's showing black people all over Mayan and Aztec areas, right? But when you talk about that, that's woke. You're just trying to redo history. No, we're trying to correct history because you have messed it all up. You have messed it all up. You're the one that painted over the faces of the judges thereof. It talks about in the book of Maccabees. This is the return of the Jedi that you're seeing right now.
That's right.
This is the real return of the Jedi.
That's right.
See, they make the movies because they knew that the real Jedis, the Jedis are actually referring to the Israelites again, were going to return. That they were, getting killed off, but we are back. We are here now. You see? So, but that's the whole thing with these people. It's like, oh, well, dude, look at Ish. Look at what they're doing. They're just Europeans calling us. Well, what are you? Exactly. USK was exactly. USK the black. Exactly. They say you're all guilty, and if none of you are going to say who the real Israelites are, you're guilty. If none of you are going to admit that your churches have pretty much stolen our information and are trying to use it for themselves, see, they got you guys doing, Venus worship and didn't even know it with fish fries on Fridays. Got these guys on Lent eating fish on Friday and saying they're not eating meat, which is like, what the hell? How is that not meat? And none of them, I've asked many Catholics, well, why do you eat meat on Fridays? It's still meat. I don't know. That's pretty much that's it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's going on right now. That they're in a loop, and now you can see the loop. You can sit here and you can ask questions. You don't get an answer, or you get the same questions all the time. You get the same responses all the time because they're in a loop that we have been elevated from.
That's right.
We can all be saved. We can all be saved. Well, how was that? In the 1950s when you guys were making all these laws against us, when you were doing all these things against us. Oh, my parents didn't know. Your parents didn't know. You mean like when they were actually actively kicking black people out of their neighborhoods if anybody showed up? When they were actively not giving loans to our people? When they were actively kicking us off our jobs because they were actively making sure we couldn't join unions? Like, these things weren't happening on accident. They were actively doing these things. So your parents and your grandparents were actively participating in racism.
That's right.
They were actively writing contracts that said you cannot sell your home to black people. And now you're trying to hide it all, just like this guy's trying to hide the fact that The Arabs knew that the original Jews left black from Israel and came back white. So then what have you accomplished the last 65 or 70 years? With this video right here, what have you accomplished the last 65, 70 years? Nothing. Because you haven't elevated at all. In fact, you've regressed. Because now you act like you don't even know that the original Israelites in those lands were black. So in actuality, in 70 years, you've gone backwards. You've gone backwards in your understanding. You've gone backwards in your teaching, because originally you knew that the original Israelites left black, but that these Ish people came back white. So that means the whole world knew, because a boy said it out in the open on television. So that would mean then that the whole world has been regressing, because all of a sudden now no one knows in the last 70 years that the original Israelites were black. So that means you've gone backwards. So now maybe you're actually in a reverse loop where you're trying to you're making time go backwards. You can't break down the cross. You can't break down Fridays. You can't break down the Sabbath. You can't break down, if you have authority over the scriptures. You can't do anything. So showing you that you have gone backwards. You can't defend your church. They're out here raping children. You have absolutely nothing to say. So you've actually gone backwards. Much love, family. Shalom.